Hey everyone, Wayne Fox here with another video. This video is kind of a follow-up of my copyright videos that I've presented lately. I've talked quite a bit about the importance of registering your photographs so you have the ability to recover statutory damages. And at this point, there's a pretty important topic that I'd like to make sure all photographers are aware of. The CASE Act is currently before Congress. It was introduced on May 1st of this year, and it stands for the Copyright Alternative in Small Claims Enforcement. Right now, if you find somebody that is infringing on one of your photographs, your only option is to file a federal court case. And even if you might recover damages of $2,000 or $3,000 in statutory damages, it probably will cost you 2 or 3 times that to pursue the case. Most of the time, the courts don't seem very apt to award all the attorney fees, even though you have the right if you have registered in a timely way. The bottom line, that means there are right now millions and millions of photographs being stolen by people to create content for their blogs and their websites, or to even paint or do other things with them without even talking to photographers and getting permission. And as photographers or other small content creators, such as musicians, you really don't have a lot of alternative unless somebody does something really egregious. And it's kind of like, to me, if somebody comes and decides to take a baseball bat to the front of your car and bust the window out, they're not going to file felony charges against that person. They've got what's called a misdemeanor, and you've got the ability to go various options to recover the damages that they did to your car. It's, if somebody copies your picture and puts it on their website, I don't know why we are expected that we have to make a federal case out of it. They should have some kind of damages. The main thing is people need to be taught the lesson that they can't just do it. And so this concept of a small claims enforcement ability within the Copyright Office was introduced. Now, what this does is it gives the Copyright Office the ability to set up a 3-person board to hear these cases. The cases must be presented by either an attorney or a law student, but it's more of an informal situation, not quite the same as it is now. And the Copyright Claims Board will have the ability to award statutory damages up to $15,000, which is half of what the law actually allows. A lot of the people opposed to this are giving a lot of stupid reasons why they shouldn't do it. And one of the most stupid is that they claim that this gives the Copyright Enforcement Board the ability to level damages which are excessive and ridiculous. Well, first understand that the statutory damage limitations are set in the copyright law itself. This has absolutely nothing to do with the CASE Act. And so it's pretty ludicrous for these people opposing it to actually claim that this statutory damage clause is coming out of the CASE Act, which is not true at all. But what they don't understand as well is statutory damages can be as low as $750 and up to $30,000. And what this is even limiting the board to the $15,000, which is half of what it's able to. And in case of what they call an innocent infringement, they're allowed to reduce that damage to $150. So there's a wide latitude, and I'm sure the Copyright Board or this panel will take how serious the case was, how much damages were created into account. In my mind, the biggest thing that comes out of this, suddenly there are hundreds of thousands of these small cases. The publicity of that will get around, and it will be pretty apparent to creators that before they start doing anything, they need to find out. Anyway, the bottom line for us photographers, if you find somebody that uses your picture on a website, this CASE Act will give you the ability to seek a small claim, and that's really what's fair and what's right. And the people that are opposed to it are a little crazy. Now, the nice part about this is it has widespread support. This is really similar to an act that went through I think around 2015 called the FASC Act, and the similarities are very strong, but this time it has a much better chance. Now, I don't know if it'll make it or not, but right now you have 49 co-sponsors in the House version, and you have 8 or 10 co-sponsors in the Senate version. And they're a very, very big mix of both Republican and Democrat. There are more Democrats than Republicans, but there's still a substantial support from both parties. So the chances are pretty good it can get through as long as small creators let their congressman know that they need to ignore what all these people are opposed. Now, I will admit it's not perfect. There are some pretty serious problems with it. One of them is if you decide to do it, the person that you're claiming infringed on you, they can say they don't want to go to that. It's kind of like an arbitration. And if they say that, then if they don't want to do that, then you're forced to take them to federal court. Now, in a lot of cases, it's going to be clear cut that they did a violation. Most people don't realize it's not that hard to prove they violated anything, especially if you've registered the photograph. And so I think most of them will be wise to take the probably fairly small fine that they'll be levied by this copyright board rather than have to maybe pay serious attorney fees if they lose it in federal court. Now, what kind of makes this important is on the 18th of July, today is, I think, the 14th of July. Let me look here. Yep, today's the 14th of July. So this week, the Senate is going to hold hearings regarding this. There are lots of people lining up on both sides, the Professional Photographers of America and several similar organizations. I think the Copyright Alliance and people like that are going to testify in favor of it. And there are several organizations that are trying to oppose it. Most of them represent big business or things like that. But this hearings will be pretty important. Now, I've noticed that none of my senators or House representatives from my home state have co-sponsored this bill. I do not know where they stand, but I'm going to write them and encourage them to support the bill. And I've included a link to the PPOA site regarding this. And on that link, there's a place that you can move forward and actually send a letter to your congressman. And I would encourage everyone to do that. I think it's important that Congress realize that there are literally tens of millions of small creators out there who have no ability to pursue damages when their work gets stolen. And so none of that's all just going by the wayside right now, because only about probably 0.1% or less of all copyright violations are actually going into federal court. So right now, people are just doing it at will. So I encourage you to read up on the CASE Act, click the link, do a Google search on it and read what it's all about. And if you have time, convince your congressman or try to convince your congressman that this is the right thing to do. At least it's a step forward. And I would also encourage you to maybe watch the videos that I've linked about copyright registration. One thing that's critical is that if somebody copies your work before you register it, you lose the ability to seek statutory damages. Now, since this small claims board that's being created is only being given power to award statutory damages, that would imply that if you didn't register your picture before it was copied, you might not have the ability to go through this small claims board. It's not that hard to register them. I've got a video. I'll just link it up here. I'm not very good at this pointing thing, but I'll link the video up here to where you can learn how to actually go through the process, and hopefully you'll take a few minutes to watch it. Well, anyway, that's enough for this video. Hopefully we can get this CASE Act through, because I personally have had at least 8 times where I found somebody using my picture on a website where they're trying to sell some products such as essential oils or things like that. But there's not much I can do but try to tell them not to do it. Some of them even got nasty about it, and I had to actually do a takedown notice to get them to take it off. I think this will be really helpful for us photographers out there. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. See you next time.